Okay, well, guys, welcome back. We're up for another segment here today. It's December the 3rd, 2020. Figured I'd throw that in there for future sake. But today we're talking about Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and her very ambitious Green New Deal. She tweeted about it again today. Thought I had a couple thoughts. This is now dubbed the politically confused segment of my channel. So please follow along. Let's go. So for this very, very momentous occasion, we've now dubbed this segment Politically Confused because over the past couple of months I have found that I am just not quite sure where the hell I stand with things. I don't know. I try and research, I try and watch people, I try and, get liberal side, the conservative side, centrist side, libertarians, all that sort of thing. And I stumbled across her tweet because when I first heard of AOC, I thought she was like awesome. I thought it was great how progressive she was and all the things that she was trying to bring to the table. And I felt the more I kind of researched her and her, just her dealings, she just wasn't the person that legacy media was making her out to be. And I'm not trying to shit on her or whatever. I think she's fine. I think she's trying to do what she thinks is right. More power to her. I think people, as I've said in the past, in past videos, I think people are trying to do the right thing. I think some people are misguided. I don't think people are using their brains. And that's not to say that I always use my brain, because Lord knows that it's the truth. I don't always. But just looking at the Green New Deal itself, she posted this morning on her Twitter account a couple of pictures of the beginning of this bill and what it talks about. So, I mean, just going over it briefly, they're looking to achieve a net zero greenhouse gas emissions through a fair and just transition for all communities and workers. That sounds fine, whatever. To create millions of good, high-wage jobs and ensure prosperity and economic security for all people in the United States. I don't see a problem with that. To ensure prosperity and economic security, I think the wording is a little weird there. I think you should be striving to create the opportunity for prosperity and economic security. I don't think it's possible. We're talking about equity here. We're talking about an equality of outcome. I don't know how achievable that is without maybe some disastrous consequences. But again, I don't know. I'm not the expert. To invest in the infrastructure and industry of the United States to sustainably meet the challenges of the 21st century. Vague, but again, I don't disagree with his principles. And then to secure for all people of the United States for generations to come, clean air and water, climate and community resiliency, healthy food, access to nature, and a sustainable environment, and to promote justice and equity by stopping current, preventing future, and repairing historic oppression of indigenous peoples, communities of color, migrant communities, deindustrialized communities, depopulated rural communities, the poor, low-income workers, women, the elderly, the unhoused, people with disabilities, and youth, referred to in this resolution as frontline and vulnerable communities. Now, I don't see anything wrong with what they're proposing. She is proposing. This is her big thing, right? Along with some others. But she's been at the center of this deal. There's a lot being said there that I think, again, is well-intentioned, but I don't know how much of it is really grounded in reality. And to say to promote justice and equity by stopping current, preventing future, and repairing historic oppression of indigenous peoples. That, I think, that's a sticky situation, right? Because now we're getting into critical theory and critical race theory, and how non-people of color owe some giant debt to people of the past, like me. Like I'm supposed to do something to further someone else when I had zero things to do with it. And that, again, it's confusing to people like me because we're sitting here like, well, what? It's like asking it's like one kid does something wrong, but because he is of a particular race, everyone else in that classroom who share that particular kid's race has to apologize to the kid for a wrongdoing. This doesn't make much sense to me. And I feel, and I can't think of a law on the books that unjustly treats people, indigenous people, people of color, all the things listed there, it marginalizes them. So it's confusing to me why this is being put into a Green New Deal. It's supposed to be really focusing on the environment, right? I think everyone should have clean air and water. Yeah, I think climate and community resiliency should be a thing, whatever that really is. Healthy food, duh. Everyone should have healthy food. Access to nature. I mean, everyone should have access to these things, right? And I think many people have access to them already, and actually I was looking up statistics recently that showed median household income in the United States is far greater than most countries out there. Most countries, and even per capita income in the United States is much higher in the United States. But again, this is politically confused, so who knows? So further, building resiliency against climate change-related disasters such as extreme weather, including by leveraging funding and providing investments for community-defined projects and strategies. Okay? So who's going to decide that the weather that we're facing is due to climate change? That again, would love to combat that stuff, but I don't, do we know that like this bad weather is all due to climate change? Repairing and upgrading the infrastructure in the United States, including by eliminating pollution and greenhouse gas emissions as much as technologically feasible, by guaranteeing universal access to clean water, of course, by reducing the risk posed by climate impacts, and by ensuring that any infrastructure bill considered by Congress addresses climate change. And you have to obviously prove, that climate change is having a disastrous effect on the world. I'm not saying that the climate isn't changing, but whether or not it's actually having some catastrophic effect on the weather and our actual planet, right? I would love to see that. And I don't know if I've ever really seen that data, but I'm happy for people to show me. Meeting 100% of the power demand in the United States through clean, renewable, and zero emission energy sources, including by dramatically expanding and upgrading renewable power sources and by deploying new capacity, building or upgrading the energy efficient, distributed, and smart power grids, and ensuring affordable access to electricity. Holy shit. Sounds awesome. But me being the layman, that seems like a pretty big thing. Meeting 100% of the power demand in the United States through clean, renewable, and zero emission energy sources. Holy crap. That's a lot. I don't know if people realize what that means. Upgrading all existing buildings in the United States and building new buildings to achieve maximum energy efficiency, water efficiency, safety, affordability, comfort, and durability, including through electrification. Please don't get me wrong when I say this. That seems very expensive, and I feel like I've heard the statistics of being, north of $1 billion to change the existing buildings to be energy efficient. And are we talking every single building out there? What buildings exactly? Spurring massive growth in clean manufacturing in the United States and removing pollution and greenhouse gas emissions from manufacturing and industry as much as technologically feasible, including by expanding renewable energy manufacturing and investing in existing manufacturing and industry. I think that's great. That's fine. But again, I don't know if people realize the cost of something like this. Working collaboratively with farmers and ranchers in the United States to remove pollution and greenhouse gas emissions from the agricultural sector as much as technologically feasible, including by supporting family farming, by investing in sustainable farming and land use practices that increase soil health. This is the joke that everyone comes at with her about cow farts. I see what they're trying to do. But again, it's a daunting task, and I'm all for family farming, which there is already. They're under contract by very large companies and lobbyists, though, so that's a that's a problem. And by investing in sustainable land use practices that increase soil health, I believe most farmers already do this. But again, you're talking about staying within something technologically feasible, and also doing these things at scale for a giant population is really, really hard. Like we need to think about that. Like, yes, I want animals to be raised humanely, and I want them to be done properly, but you're talking about feeding 330 million people. That's a lot of motherfucking mouths. Building or upgrading to energy efficient, distributed, and smart power grids, and ensuring affordable access to electricity. I don't see anything wrong with that. Everyone wants that. Upgrading all existing buildings to the United States and building new buildings to achieve maximum energy efficiency, water efficiency, safety, affordability, comfort, and durability, including through electrification. I don't know where it is in here, but this was all, perhaps it's back on the first page. This was all to be done within a 10-year period. That's how long. So the Green New Deal, like if it was signed, it'd be like, okay, in 10 years, all of this stuff needs to happen. I think it's a bit ambitious. And again, you're talking about 2.5 presidencies. That's got to be done. You're talking about scaling. You're talking about scaling California to a national level, and we've already seen that California has failed miserably in its energy war, energy battle. I mean, rolling blackouts. I mean, it's not, if it's not efficient for a place like California, how do you expect it to be efficient for the entire United States? Of course, like these are things that we should be working towards. I'm not saying that some of this is impossible, but this is a generation away from happening. Like, just look at the construction that goes on in your local districts, in your towns, cities, whatever. It takes forever. It's not something that just happens. And I mean, I remember when I was in high school, they were trying to get us a new high school at the time. And they proposed, there was two proposals. One was a brand new high school in a brand new location. And the other one was basically renovating the current building that we were in, to add another wing, to upgrade things, but basically putting a Band-Aid painting over rust. That's what it was. This is what this is. Paint rust whatever any color you like, but it's still rust. It's again, people should be striving and doing the best things that we can for the environment. We shouldn't be dumping toxic waste. We shouldn't be ruining indigenous lands. We shouldn't be marginalizing people. All that stuff. It goes without saying. The problem with something like this is now you're basically saying to the federal government is saying, this is what you have to do. If you don't do it, you're in trouble. And this is where I start to kind of identify as libertarian, because, pardon me, I just love my coffee. You're limiting the power of the states to do what they feel they need to do. People of the state, they are electing officials at their local and state level to represent them. Those representatives in their area are doing things that they want to do. And I believe the United States for the at least 5 years now has already been the leader in emissions dropping and many other environmental things, even though there's been rollbacks in the EPA, which I'm not a fan of. These are the things, like, I'm fine with representatives proposing stuff like this, but they need to be kept in check. They just need to kind of be, and I'm not going to say stay in their lane, because they're there to do what they need to do to represent people. But this doesn't seem to me like something that's going to be feasible in the next 10 years, maybe the next 50 years. I think our children's children could be on the right path to do stuff like this. But right now we're too oil dependent. our economy is too tied to oil and fossil fuels, and to say that you're going to eliminate that within 10 years is, it seems to me to be crazy. I would love to have what she's smoking, because it, like, it's nuts. Again, I'll respect her position. You know, she got there. She was an elected official. She's just trying to do what she thinks is right. I think it's totally wrong. I think we need to concentrate on these things, but again, these are a lot of these things are stuff that's like kind of done on the local level, and I think it's already being done. That's what I think. I appreciate the continued support, and I appreciate you guys continuing to watch the videos. If you like what you see, if you enjoy talking about little political things, if you enjoy the commentary, I would love to know what you think about this. What do you think about AOC's proposal of the Green New Deal? Do you think it's any good? Do you think she's overstepping a little bit? Do you think it's maybe a little nutty? I don't know, but I would love to know in the comments below. Please like and comment. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. It'll let you know every time that we go live with a brand new video. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you again.